If you want to feel as prepared as possible for your baby's arrival, then this is the perfect video for you. Today we're talking about what to do in your last month of pregnancy in order to prepare for baby's arrival. So whether you're a first-time mom who feels completely clueless, I've been there, or a veteran mom who just wants a refresher, then definitely stay tuned. If you're new to The Innovative Mama, my name is Jess and I am currently a mom to a 20-month-old little boy, and I'm expecting another baby boy next month. On my channel, I share helpful videos on pregnancy, parenting, and early learning, so definitely subscribe if you like that kind of stuff and click the notification bell to be notified when I upload new helpful content. We're gonna go over a complete list of things to do in your last month of pregnancy. These things will help you feel prepared and empowered for your birth, not to mention keep you busy and help keep your mind from very anxiously awaiting the birth of your little angel. Be sure to stick around until the end because I have some really good tips in here and probably some things that you haven't thought of. So without further delay, let's get into it. In my opinion, this is one of the most important steps to prepare for bringing a baby home, and that is education. Did you take an online class? Did you read books? Did you watch videos? If you didn't, get on it, sister. If you did, go back and review what you found to be helpful. I took my online birth course very early in my first pregnancy, so my husband and I wanted to go over some of the material again as it got closer to our due date, which definitely helped us feel more confident and prepared for the big day. I will 100% be going over these classes again for this birth, just as a little refresher. The main class I took was the Love Your Labor birth course, which focuses on having a natural birth. That was my goal personally. I absolutely, totally recommend this class, especially if you're trying to go for an unmedicated birth. This course explains how to prepare your body for labor and what happens during the labor process and the birth process. So I absolutely totally recommend it. I love it. I will leave a link to all of these suggestions down in the description box below. Some other ones that I took that I definitely recommend are the Mommy Labor Nurse courses. Liesl Teen, who is the course creator, has so much good information, and she actually has courses specific to what your goal is for your birth. So she has a natural birth course, an epidural birth course, a C-section birth course, and she even has newly out an induction birth course, which I wish I would have had because I had an induction with my first. She has such good information. She's a mom of two and a labor and delivery nurse, so she's seen a lot and been through a lot. So definitely check out those links in the description box if you're interested in those as well. I also took her newborn basics class. This is absolutely amazing for especially first-time moms to prepare for having a newborn. So this is kind of like a crash course in everything you need to know about bringing home a newborn baby. So it covers things like diapering, feeding, health and safety, some sleep stuff, and more. My next course that I highly recommend taking prior to having your baby is a breastfeeding course if you plan on breastfeeding. I took the MILKOLOGY breastfeeding course and it was absolutely amazing and definitely a great tool to have in my pocket because I was planning on breastfeeding, and I learned a lot in there. I thought I knew a lot about breastfeeding, but honestly, I didn't. Breastfeeding is definitely not one of those things that you want to go into blindly. I always say it's amazing how something so natural can turn out to be so difficult with so many obstacles sometimes. So you definitely don't want to go into it thinking like, oh, it's just gonna go well, because that's not always the case. So you want to be prepared and have those tools ready for when baby arrives. So if you're planning on breastfeeding, this course is super helpful, it's inexpensive, and I was so thankful to have taken it before the arrival of my son. The next thing you probably want to invest in is some sort of baby sleep class. I've been looking at the Taking Care of Babies sleep class. I did not take it with my first. I did take another sleep class that's actually no longer available, but I've heard great things about the Taking Care of Babies class, and there's also some other classes out there too. But definitely just having those tools, again, prepped and ready to go before you have your baby, instead of being caught up in everything and trying to find ways to get your baby to sleep and going crazy once baby arrives. So I definitely recommend finding something beforehand if you're interested, or if you don't want to take a class, at least research this stuff thoroughly. I just really like convenience and I don't have a lot of time. So I love taking courses because they're comprehensive and I don't have to go searching for stuff. It has all the tools that you need right there in the course, which makes it really nice. But you definitely want to be prepared in these things, like taking care of a newborn, having a sleep class, having a breastfeeding class, and a birth or labor class, just to be prepared for what's going to happen. Like I said, you can find a link to all of these in the description box for all these classes if you want to check them out. My second tip is to pack your bag. If there was one thing I really kept putting off the first time around, it was packing. I am definitely an overpacker, but I'd rather be overprepared than underprepared. The nurses were actually joking with me when I went in for my induction about me moving in to the hospital with all of my bags, but I actually really like how I set up my bags the first time around, and I will be doing them again the same way this time around. So first I had a labor bag, which was everything that me and my husband would need during labor and when I first got to the hospital. So I went ahead and packed this in a duffel bag. My second bag, I called it the mommy daddy bag. So this was everything that I would need after birth, when I was already moved to the recovery area, and everything for me and my husband. So we kind of put like a medium-sized suitcase. I know that's kind of excessive. We did bring a suitcase, but we kind of had a medium-sized suitcase and just put all of our stuff in there that we would need for after the birth. And then the last thing I brought was my son's diaper bag. And I packed this with everything I wanted to have on hand for baby. I had like our swaddles in there for pictures, his going home outfit, just stuff like that. If you're giving birth at a hospital, you don't need to bring like diapers and wipes or anything. The hospital will provide that for you. But I just actually have all that stuff packed before baby gets here because it makes it really nice and simple, especially in those first couple days. If you are going to a doctor's appointment or something, you have everything packed and ready to go, and it's just one less thing you have to worry about. So I definitely recommend packing it beforehand. If you don't want to bring the whole bag to the hospital, that's totally your call, but I really like doing that. I will be making a video about what's in my hospital bag for this time around, so make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss that. But packing this way will really help you stay organized and have necessities on hand when you need them. So when you get to the hospital, you could just bring that first labor bag with you, and then you can send your partner out to get the rest after the baby arrives. Okay, so this next one is really fun, and that is to make a labor playlist. So you probably won't know exactly what type of music you want to hear during each stage of labor until you're actually in the moment, but I mixed some faster and slower songs for my first birth, and I chose to keep them all in one place on a Spotify playlist, but you can divide up the playlist if you'd prefer. I absolutely loved having this mix of songs during labor, and if I wasn't feeling a certain song, I just had my husband or my mom, who were both with me at the time, just click next and skip it for me, but I just put it on shuffle. But it was really awesome to have and kept me motivated, and then kind of like some songs that would really keep me in that focus, nice, calm state of mind too. If you want to take your baby home from the hospital, then you have to have a car seat installed before you leave. I honestly thought this step was going to be way more involved than it was. We had the Kiko KeyFit 30 car seat, which was so easy to install. We read the directions really thoroughly and watched some YouTube videos before installing it. One thing to be sure of is that your seat, or the base of your seat, is tight. It should barely move. This is super important for the safety of your baby. I would recommend going to get your seat checked at a local fire or police station, or wherever they have child seat safety checkpoints, just for the peace of mind. But read that manual and definitely get to know your car seat well before you bring baby home in it. You can even practice putting like a stuffed teddy bear or some other kind of stuffed animal in it to play around with it and see how everything works. If you choose to have a birth plan, now is the time to go over it and finalize it. Make sure you have multiple copies to share with your birth team, and go over it thoroughly with your designated support person so they know exactly what you want and will be prepared to communicate your preferences with the birth staff. I'm going to be honest, my birth plan pretty much went out the window when I found out I was having an induction, but I still tried to stick to it as best as I could. So just keep an open mind that your birth may not go as you planned, so just keep it as like a loose outline of what you'd like. Make sure you wash all of your baby's clothes before your baby wears them. New clothes contain manufacturing chemicals that can be really harsh on babies' brand new, sensitive little skin. We washed and then sorted all the clothes by size and put them away in order for our first birth, which we will definitely be doing again this time around. This helped to keep things organized so that we would have all the newborn clothes at our fingertips ready for baby. Unfortunately, when we packed up Luke's clothes, we were kind of unorganized with it. So now that we're having another boy in the same season, we're going to be going through a lot of stuff. By the way, if you're having your second baby, be sure to check out my video on what you really need for baby number 2, which will be linked down in the description box below. Take these last few weeks to put any finishing touches on the nursery. Of course, it doesn't have to be completely perfect. Baby won't know, don't worry. But you'll want to get it as close to being done as possible so that it's one less thing you have to worry about when you have a newborn. My husband and I also took the time to go on some major cleaning sprees. We had been in our house for 3 years before we had Luke, and when we moved in, we kind of just wound up throwing some things in random places. So preparing for the baby, it made us clear out and reorganize our stuff, which was very welcomed. We are doing a second round of decluttering this time around, so I still have a lot of rooms and areas to go through and throw out or donate things that we're not using anymore. Now is also a good time to reorganize your kitchen cabinets, which we will also be doing this time around. You're going to need space for baby's bottles, silverware, sippy cups, plateware, etc. While you may not start off needing the space for all of these things, if you have the time now, just do it. You'll be happy you did later on. Another great tip is to set up a breastfeeding area with your breastfeeding supplies. If you plan on breastfeeding, this is a great thing to do before baby comes home. So if you have a breast pump, take it out, play around with it, figure out how it works. You want to put that in your area along with things like nursing pads, lanolin cream, some snacks for you, a nursing pillow, maybe some water bottles, a phone charger. It's great to have this area nice and set up in advance before you bring baby home. Okay, so this one is not a necessity, but it's a super nice gesture, and I'm so glad I did it for my first birth. I put together 2 large thank you baskets for the maternity staff. These people work long and hard to take care of your new family. Nurses are super underappreciated a lot of the time, so it's always nice to just show a little gratitude for all their hard work. I'm a huge fan of spreading kindness, and what better time to do so than when bringing a new baby into the world. If you do decide to give a gift, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. I've seen people go with individual little baggies filled with a couple of items, or you can do the basket route. I chose to go with the baskets just because I wasn't sure how many staff members would be working, and I wanted there to be more than enough to go around. I got some plastic bins from Dollar Tree and filled them with chips, candy bars, granola bars, some frappuccinos, and gum. So most of this stuff I just purchased in bulk variety packs from either Amazon or Costco. But the nurses absolutely love this, and they were so appreciative of me doing this, and I just thought, like I said, it was just a kind, nice gesture to go with having your baby. You're definitely gonna wanna purchase any last minute items. Thank God for Amazon Prime, seriously. I was buying last minute things almost every day leading up to my birth, and it was so nice to know that it'd be delivered in 2 days or even the next day with Prime shipping in case I went into early labor. If you don't have Amazon Prime, get it now. My next tip is to mentally prepare. Now is a great time to practice yoga or meditation. Rehearse getting yourself into a calm, centered mindset for the big day. Labor is like a marathon, both physically and mentally. Remember, you can do this. Your body was designed to do this. Practice clearing your mind and keeping your eyes on the finish line. Get excited. You're finally going to meet that beautiful baby that you've been waiting so long for. If you need some positive affirmations to use during labor, you can check out the link in the description box to grab my free set of labor affirmation cards to bring with you to the hospital. Okay, so this next one might be a little cheesy for some of you, but I totally loved it, and that is to make a birth vision board. board. I just think this is such a great idea for giving you something inspirational to focus on during labor and delivery. You can fill this with whatever you think will motivate you during labor or the pushing phase. I made mine on a piece of 8x5 by 11 inch cardstock. I chose to put 3 pictures of my guardian angels or close family members who are no longer with me, and then some birth affirmations that I thought would help me push through labor. If you don't want to make a whole board, then bring a single picture or something to focus on. Something that has sentimental value to you will be way more beneficial to focus on than a paint chip on the hospital wall. Another thing you're going to want to do before baby's arrival is either meal prep or kind of have a plan of what you're gonna do for your meals once baby's here. So a lot of times people make freezer meals. I know there's a lot of great ideas out there for this. So you would just cook a bunch of food prior and put them in the freezer, and then you can take them out and defrost them once you're home in those first couple of weeks so that you always have food on hand. Personally, in my house, my husband cooks most of the time, so I never really did this because he was the one cooking. If you're not gonna do this, definitely have a plan of what you wanna do, or look up some recipes in advance. Another idea is to maybe have someone in your family set up kind of like a meal train thing for you if you'd like that. But definitely like have an idea of what you want to do for meals in your head so that you're not scrambling around postpartum, trying to heal, take care of baby, and figuring out what you're gonna eat. You definitely want to arrange for postpartum help or write out your plans for postpartum or while you're having your baby. So if you're planning on having someone stay with you or help you, like a postpartum doula or friends or family, talk to them and figure out what your plan is. If you have other children to take care of while giving birth, definitely write down a plan of everything that whoever's taking care of them should know. So this is not something I had to worry about last time, which I do have to worry about this time, but make sure that everything's very detailed because most likely whoever's taking care of your child or your pets won't be able to get in touch with you while you're in the heat of things. Another tip I have is to read or listen to positive birth stories. So oftentimes you only hear the negative birth stories that people seem to love to tell. But if you listen to positive stories, this will help you get into a positive mindset about the idea of giving birth and help keep your mind at ease. I do have my positive birth story linked in the description box below from my first birth, so definitely check that out. I also recommend Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth. She is a midwife who has tons of positive birth stories in there. I found that really helpful for my first birth. So the next one might seem a little obvious, but I have to put it in there because it is super important, and that is sleep and relax. As excited as I was to meet my baby boy the first time, I really took that last month to reflect and practice some self-care and relaxation before his arrival. Get in your naps whenever you need them. Your life is about to completely change for the better. And while it will be amazing, there are bound to be sleepless nights and struggles along the way. Take the time now to take care of yourself and relax. This will help prep your body and your mind so that you will be the best mama that you can be from day one. If you already have kids, this may be easier said than done. I know it is for me this time around, but really try and squeeze in a few minutes for these kinds of things because like I said, it is super important. If you found this video helpful, then please give it a thumbs up and comment below if you're doing anything else to prepare for the birth of your baby. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any other parenting content. I wish you the best of luck with your birth experience and your new bundle of joy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.